Hi, and welcome to another edition of Hacking Maths. Today, we're going to look at factorizing quadratics. Now, some people find this a little tricky, but I hope by the end of this, you should be able to do this without any difficulty. So there's the first things we have to look at. A quadratic usually takes the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So if your highest order power that you have is x squared, then it is a quadratic. The a is the coefficient of the x squared, the b is the coefficient of the x, and the c is the number that's left on its own. Now coefficient just means the number in front of, so it's the number that's multiplying the x squared. So let's have a look at a small example. So if we take x squared minus 5x plus 6. Now this isn't too difficult to do, but it can be a little tricky. So we want to write down the coefficients first of all. So the coefficient of the x squared. Now there is no number written in front of this x squared. However, how many x squareds do we have? We have 1. And as I'm sure you're aware with algebra, we don't always have to write that 1. But we're going to write the 1 down here. Now the b is the coefficient of the x squared, the x's. So we have negative 5x. So that is negative 5. And then c, and that's the number on its own, is 6. Now quadratics don't always have to be in this order. We could have them jumbled around. However, it's much better if you write it in order of decreasing power. So x squared, x is the number. I do like to write one extra thing on this, which is AC, and that's just a times c. And it becomes a little bit clearer and easier to use when we're doing a quadratic where a is not equal to 1. So at the moment it's a little redundant, but it's just good practice to write them all down. So to solve a quadratic, we need to find two numbers to factorize this quadratic, I should say. And those two numbers must multiply to make AC and add to make B. So we start by writing our factor pairs for 6. We can get 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and then if we'd find the next factor pair that multiplied to make 6 would be 3 and 2. So we're starting to repeat, so we don't need to continue. Now, all of these factor pairs that we've just made multiply to make AC, so that's good. However, we need to make negative 5. And if we look at this, we can see that if I use 1 take away 6, I can get negative 5. Or I could do negative 2 minus 3 is equal to negative 5. And this is where some students slip up. Only one of these can be used, and this is where we need to look at AC. What is the sign of AC? Well, we can say that AC is positive. If I was to pick 1 and negative 6, and I multiply 1 by negative 6, I would get negative 6. That isn't equal to positive 6. However, if I pick negative 2 times negative 3 and multiply them together, I get positive 6. So we have to be careful, we have to explore all the options. So unfortunately, this option is not valid. This is the option that we're looking for. Now I'm going to solve this by the full method, and we'll talk about the shortcut once we've completed it. So the next thing to do is to write down our x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 6. And what we've done here is we've split the minus 5x into two parts that add to make negative 5. So we've now split it into minus 2x and minus 3x. What we want to do is split this up even further into two sections. So I like to write it like this: x squared minus 2x. And then to keep things mathematically correct, I write a nice big plus sign here. And inside here, I write minus 3x plus 6. Now, if I was to remove these parentheses, mathematically it would still be the same. So keeping this plus sign here allows things to be the same. And notice that the negative sign in front of the 3 is inside the parentheses here. So it says negative 3x inside it. And that will help us. So we look at the first set of parentheses and we look to factorize that. And we say, what is common to x squared and to negative 2x? Well, there's only one thing, and that is x. X times what is x squared? Well, x times x. X times what is negative 2x? Well, that's negative 2. And that's that fully factorized. Now, let's look at the second set of parentheses we have here. We now have a negative 3 here. And this negative 3 being inside the parentheses hints to us that we should be taking out a common factor of a negative. Because we can see that 3 is common to 3x and to 6, but we want to take out the negative 3. So negative 3 times what is x? Negative 3x, well, it's just x. Negative 3 times what is positive 6 is negative 2. And what you should find, as we've seen here, is that this and this parentheses are the same. If they are not the same, the chances are you have made a mistake. And you cannot just write them as the same, hoping that will eliminate your mistake. You need to go back and look through carefully what's happened. Now we're ready for one last thing. We take out, we write down inside parentheses negative x and take away negative 2, and inside the second set of parentheses x take away 3. And that is fully factorized. Now, if you have a little look back at the numbers that we picked, we could see that this is negative 2 and negative 3 were the numbers we picked. Because a is 1, okay, because a is 1, we could actually have avoided doing all this working and written down the answer straight away. Let's have a quick look at another example of that, and we will write down the answer straight away. Okay, so here we're going to take x squared plus 4x minus 5, and we're going to factorize that. So remember, we write down our coefficients. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to 4, c is equal to negative 5. Remember, you need to have your equation written in the same order. AC is equal to negative 5. Okay, so let's look at things that multiply to make 5. We'll deal with the negative in a second. 1 and 5. Can you think of anything else? Whole numbers that multiply to make 5? I can't think of any. Now, we've multiplied to make 5. However, we must add to make 4. So the only way I can add to make 4 using this is with 5, positive 5 minus 1, and that will equal 4. So if I choose the number positive 5 and minus 5 and I multiply them together, do I get negative 5? Yes, I do. So using the little rule that we just discussed, by taking the answers, we should be able to go straight to the final result. So we should be able to write down x plus 5, x minus 1. And bear in mind, this only works when a is equal to 1. Let's try another example. X squared minus 9. So the a is equal to 1. The b, we don't have any x's there. So we have 0 x's. So b is equal to 0. Then we have c, that is equal to minus 9. And then ac is equal to minus 9. So I always look at finding the things that multiply to make the absolute value. So what multiplies to make 9? We have 1 and 9, 3 and 3. How am I going to make 0? Well, 1 and 9 will never add to make 0. However, 3 and 3, if we do positive 3 minus 3, that will equal 0. If I take these two and multiply them together, do I get negative 9? Yes, I do. So I can take this and write down the fully factorized answer. Okay, so we're going to stop there. This is how to factorize a quadratic using a is equal to 1. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions or comments, please add them below. And that's all this time about hacking maths.